Why, hello there, my internet friend. Thank you very much for coming to this video. I'm assuming that if you're here, you have picked up my Lightroom presets. So today I want to show you how to install them and my general use cases for them. So let's dive right into the computer machine and talk about that. So we have Lightroom open right now, and I have a batch of photos just collected over the last couple of years that I used to grade all of my presets, and I've been building these over the last couple of years, and now I'm sharing them with you. So let's first start with the installation process. We have a little preset button here. You could go to import presets, and then you find them where they're saved. I have them in my Creative Cloud file. Then if I go to presets, and then Lightroom presets, and then Jags Lightroom version 1, and here's everything here along with the zip folder that you received. But we can just take all of these, boop, and then take that and then hit import. And it will import very conveniently into a folder for you. Now I'm on Lightroom Classic, but this will still apply to Lightroom CC, same principle. Now we have the photos, let's start doing some preset stuff. So I'm gonna start with, let's say, this photo of Glacier Point, Half Dome in Yosemite National Park. And I want this to be like bright and colorful and fun. Took this in the morning at sunrise, so it's just like bright new day happening. So I have a preset called Colorful Mood. So it sort of just adds some more color to it and helps lift those shadows and bring down those highlights a bit. Just gives it a little bit more warmth and invitingness. Now, generally what I'll do from here is I'll do any sort of extra cropping if I need to. So if I'm posting to Instagram, let's set this to a 1:1 and then just get that into where I want it to be. And what I'm looking at here is the horizon line. We can actually sort of realign that if we need to, just a hair. And then I don't want a tangent with the log here. I think it kind of creates a nice composition leading into the half dome, and then we see the sun, etc., etc. So I think that's a pretty good Instagram photo. And then generally speaking with the preset, not all presets will work on every single photo out of the box. So the biggest thing that you want to do to start is double check your exposure, because sometimes you might have a shot that you either overexposed, underexposed, or the settings don't necessarily work just yet. But all you have to do is hold Shift on your keyboard and then double click on the exposure button, and that will auto set the exposure to what the computer thinks it to be, but also let your eye dictate what you think looks good. I think this looks pretty good. Maybe I'll tune it down by just a little bit. And if the preset isn't quite working for me, it is absolutely okay to start fussing with these settings. Don't be afraid to take some creative liberties to it. A preset is a starting point for you to get something that you're looking for. So we can just maybe bring up those shadows just a bit more, bring out a little bit more detail in the log here. And yeah, I think that's pretty good. We can rate that to like a 5 because I love that photo so much, and then we can move on. So we have this photo here that I took when we were driving on the way to Havasu High, and I was just like, oh man, right now I think this looks pretty cool. Now I have edited this photo before. I took out the power lines and whatnot, but I just want to show you what it comes like out of the box. So if we go to our crop, oh, that's already gone. So yeah, we can get started. Now, this is a photo of space. So very conveniently, we have the space preset, and this is what I use for a lot of my astro photography stuff. And then we'll double check that exposure one more time. Sometimes the exposure, the computer doesn't know what to look at, so it will just assume based on the histogram. So we definitely need to tune that down. Maybe we'll pump up the highlights. We'll actually bring it down just a hair. See more of that Milky Way there. Let's go to a crop 16:9 because that is a very cinematic look. Hit enter on the keyboard. And now for me personally, I like blue space. It's just a look. This is also a very cool warm space, but I'm gonna bring this temperature down a little bit, and that looks pretty cool. I can fuss with these settings a little bit more. Clarity will bring out the stars just a bit, but this space preset will get you started for a lot of your astrophotography stuff. let's keep going down the line. Now, let's see. Let's take a couple photos of my lovely girlfriend, Amanda. Thank you, Amanda, for letting me use your likeness for these. So what we have is, we did a little birthday photo shoot before COVID. So that is why we're not wearing a mask. If you're watching this outside of the COVID window, well, I'm glad we're here. Anyways, so I have two presets that I generally use for my fashion stuff, inside voice and outside voice. What I mean by that is outside voice is photos that are taken outside, natural light. So if I just drop this on, and we can see here that it really just brought up the warmth a little bit. And then if we scroll down into our color settings, we really try and bring out those skin tones a little bit and really just make the character in the photo pop a little bit more. So from here, I'll go in and I'll give this a crop. I like the 16:9 as per usual, but you could do a 1:1 square. This is a pretty photo. And generally speaking, I try to not center composition all the time, so just being off by a little bit will help the composition. And then what we'll do is maybe we'll bring up these shadows just a hair. Actually, it's kind of nice where it's at. Maybe just dehaze it a bit. And yeah, if you hit Y on your keyboard, you can see the before and after. And I think this helps bring out her a little bit more. And obviously I could bring this into Photoshop or do some crazy things with some of the graduated filters or gradient filters. But this is a good starting point for me. And we'll talk about that other stuff in another video. Let's go over a couple more. Now, if you look in the preset pack, there is a handful of action figure presets, and I do enjoy taking some action figure photos. So I have a couple of some Halo stuff, some Star Wars stuff, and we can just cycle through, and each of them will be a slightly different look for different scenarios. So this one, I think if I scrub through these, either 4 or 1, and you'll see why I have the 4 different ones in a little bit. So this one is probably going to be best with number 4. We can go in, double check that exposure if we want to. Yeah, sure, it brightens it up just a little bit. We can see that this photo is unedited. There's some paint stuff that happens on the figure. So I would do the Lightroom preset first, then bring this into Photoshop, and then do those corrections. But yeah, I have that, and then we can give this a quick crop. And then maybe just punch in a little bit and just make this a nice portrait photo of Mr. Tony Stark. Scroll down, and we'll add a little bit of vignette. And yeah, I think that works. Now we can scroll to this little Halo one, and we can see it's a little bit darker, but sometimes I will underexpose my shots just a little bit and then bring it back up in post because it can give it a unique look. And what I mean by that is if we go to number 3, really bring down those colors, bring up the haze a little bit. If we were to go over to like any of the other brighter photos, number 3 is gonna really overexpose it. So my sweet action figure preset number 3 is really for the darker mood toy photos. So let's go back to that photo one more time, and maybe we'll pump up the exposure just a touch. And then sure, we can bring down the dehaze, and what that does is like the haziness, the fogginess will come through, and because I was using some atmospheric smoke in a can, this helps bring that element to life. Now I can just go in and add a little bit more vignette if I want to, which is something I like to do. And then we'll set this to a 4:5, just because I do like the being able to see the lightsaber right here as well. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I like that. And then sometimes for your toy photos, you will want to bring up that clarity. It will really bring out a lot of the details in the plastic. It really depends on the look you're going for. There's some toys that actually look better with a lower clarity or a negative clarity versus something like this that has a lot of texture. Now, the last one I'll go over is my bounty hunter presets, and you can kind of get an idea of what I mean by Bounty Hunter, and this is an example of those clarity sliders really helping the texture on the characters be different from the most. So if you think of the Mandalorian, his armor is very shiny and reflective, and a toy, because it's so small and printed, plastic, it has a little bit of grit to it, so being able to take that away a little bit. This one's actually not the best one. Let's try this one. Hi, maybe, yeah, that's a good one. We can go in and go to our Bounty Hunter preset, and we can see that if we just move that clarity slider around, it'll give us a very, very different look between the shots. So this is also one of my favorites. I really cycle between a lot of these different presets based on the look I'm going for. Really gives it a sort of cinematic feel depending. We could even go to like this beautiful photo of my girlfriend and I in Death Valley. We're driving through Death Valley, and like everyone, teal team is everyone's favorite. So we have the basic teal shot here. And yeah, it just drops on. Maybe check the exposure a little bit, give it a crop, and there's an Instagram photo. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this was useful. Once again, presets are a really good starting place, but I do want to remind you that it is not a correction for bad lighting, so to speak. So whenever you're shooting, just always consider that what you get in camera is going to give you the better results than any Lightroom presets. Lightroom presets at the end of the day will save you time, which is why I use them. It helps me make more content faster and stay aligned with the looks I'm going for on Instagram and create more cool stuff. So I hope this was useful to you. Thank you very much for watching. If you have questions, comments, concerns, hit me up in the comment section down below or on Instagram at JohnJagsNeat. And until that next video, I will see you at some point. Last thing I will leave you is with the friendly reminder of please eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight and you'll make some gains. Goodbye, my friends. Bye.